Hello and welcome everybody to another game of drewbie vs acslayer from the StarCraft 2 North American ladder. Spawning in the bottom right position as the red Teran we have acslayer. And spawning in the top left position of Antiga Shipyards as the blue Teran, playing from Team Complexity, we have drewbie. Now let's spend a little bit of time talking about the TVT matchup. Obviously, I'm not a Teran player, so I don't have the most in-depth things to say, but I can say this, that on the most general level, there are a couple of different styles that you can expect from Terans. For the most part, most Terans are either going to be going mech or they're going to be going bio. That is that they are going to be going lots and lots of barracks and getting up lots and lots of marines and marauders. They have big possibilities open to them for drops, get lots of medevacs for support. Or you can go for mech, which is a more factory-based army, obviously, where your army is much more powerful, but it's much less forgiving. Let's talk about that a little bit. For example, drewbie loves to go bio. So what does bio mean? In general, bio means that you are going to be able to get lots of units for cheap. It's going to mean that you're going to have lots of units earlier than your opponent because mech takes a lot of time to get going. Building up a lot of factories, building units from factories takes a long time. So mech kind of is almost a little bit more of a turtle style. You have to be willing to kind of sit back a little bit, play a little bit more defensive because your army is also going to be slower than your opponent. Whereas a Bioforce, very mobile, moves around very quickly, they have stim available to them, but Bioforces, though they're not as strong in direct engagements, you're never ever going to win against a mech force. If you just, in a straight up even fight, both armies just come up and go one-on-one against each other, a mech army is always going to win. Siege tanks, way more cost effective than marine marauders. Way more cost effective. You get siege tanks with Thors and Hellions buffering some damage in front, and that army is just always going to win a max bio army. But the bio army replenishes itself much faster. If you have a 200-200 army in mech and a 200-200 army in bio, the bio army can remax to 200 quite quickly, especially if they're building lots of barracks throughout the game. Whereas a mech army takes a very long time to rebuild, and if you lose a fight, either because you were out of position and they were able to get a good stim off and pick off a lot of your siege tanks before the fight even got going, then you're pretty much screwed from there on out because you don't have time to remax your army, and now the Bioforces are in your base doing lots of damage. That's why mech is generally not considered to be very forgiving. Because if you mess up once and you get your units caught out of position, well, you're pretty much screwed because the bio player will just continue to use that momentum against you and just roll over you completely. So it looks like drewbie here is going to be choosing to go for that bio army once again. Going to have to see how he uses it, whether he's going to be able to take a win off of acslayer. When I talked to acslayer and I asked him, you know, what was your idea going into the second game? What exactly were you going for, knowing that you just played and you just beat him using mech? What are you going to be going for in the next game? And he said in the second game, he knew that his opponent was going to think, alright, this guy's a meching player. This guy's going to be going for mech. So acslayer decided that he was going to open with bio and then kind of do a late transition into mech to try to kind of throw his opponent, knowing that drewbie is pretty much going to stick to mech. Drewbie's not going to be doing any mech plays early on, and he's not going to be doing any tech switches into mech later on just because drewbie just loves his bio forces. So that is the assumption that acslayer is working with, and we're going to have to see if that works out for him, or whether, that transition into mech will just not work that well at all, and drewbie might just run over him, because anytime you have a Bioforce going up against a Bioforce, you're generally going to have fairly even army exchanges. But the thing is, if you try to go for some kind of a tech switch, that means you're suddenly redirecting resources into another route, and it's going to take a while to get those factory units up and going. So that means there's going to be a brief time where your opponent is continuing to macro off of barracks. He's continuing to get up more and more bio units, whereas you're now investing all this money in a tech switch, so your army value is going to stop growing for a little while you're doing that tech switch. So it's kind of a dangerous time depending on when you do it. So we're going to have to see how acslayer is going to be working that transition into his play. Both players did try to go for an SCV scout here, but acslayer's was taken out by all of these marines out here, and drewbie's was taken out by this bunker here. So drewbie really didn't get to see a whole lot. He poked up here, saw one Marine and a bunker full of Marines, so that doesn't really tell him a whole lot. If he could see into AC Slayer's base right now, he could see that it looks like it's kind of a 1-1-1 style after a 1-racks expand from AC Slayer, going immediately for that factory, going right into that siege tank production right now. So it looks like he's not even going to be going to for bio for too long, as he's going for, I think, a faster transition into mech than he went in game 1. But looks like siege mode is now on the way. First siege tank is now coming out as well. Medevacs coming out as well here for AC Slayer. So it looks like he's going to be kind of doing a mixture of bio and mech, and then kind of transition into mech from there. But oh, drewbie does get the scan off, sees the 1-1-1 from AC Slayer, and he even saw the siege tank coming out, so he knows kind of has a good idea of what his opponent is doing. And look at this, the moment he sees that, he's just going to move out. Why? Because he says, well, you went for more tech than I did. Because you invested more in tech, my army is going to be bigger. So I need to push out right now and take advantage of this timing before you get your siege mode up, before you get siege tanks up, and I'm going to try to do a little bit of damage early on. As we can see, this is going to line up quite nicely with Combat Shield, as well as Combat Shield is going to be done here in about another 30 or another 50 seconds or so. Looks like in the meantime, more and more Marines now being popped out here by drewbie, throwing down a factory as well. If we check out the harvester count right now, once again, both players pretty on top of their SCV production, both sitting at 38 harvesters. But as we can see, drewbie is going for a +1/+1 on all of his Marines. There it is, yeah. Engineering Bay researching that +1/+1 for drewbie, whereas AC Slayer using that gas to go more for tech. And as we can see, it looks like AC Slayer is moving out right now, and drewbie just scanned the front and saw no army at the front, so he's going to be feeling a little bit worried. And now he does see that there are forces coming up here. Does try to pick off one medevac. There are a whole lot of Marines out here, but it looks like AC Slayer is going to be going for a little bit of a siege tank timing here as he moves out with a couple of siege tanks, a good group of Marines, as well as a couple of medevacs. Is he going to continue that pressure, having seen that many Marines out of drewbie? Looks like for now he's just going to be content with taking the middle of the map. More forces are being rallied to his opponent's base, however, and we do see a second barracks now going up here for AC Slayer, building a tech lab, as well as a third command center going up. In the base of drewbie, we do see Starport now coming out here. You're going to need to wait for those medevacs to really help this bio army that he has here. I think he's going to want to delay this push for as long as possible. As we can see, a couple of barracks now being thrown down as well for drewbie, and oh, drewbie moving out right now. Is he going to get a good surround on those tanks? No, it looks like he's going to be pulling back, and oh, those siege tanks do get one nice shot off on those Marines, and it looks like a couple of Marines go down there. Now, drewbie's in a spot of trouble here, as he's going to need to get out a lot of forces. He does not have stim yet. Stim is still a long way from finishing up, still 100 seconds, almost 2 minutes away before he's going to be doing that. And oh, AC Slayer looks like he was thinking about maybe going for a drop here onto the high ground, but drewbie trying to get into a good position to where he can stop that. The important thing that drewbie keep in mind right now is where his opponent's tanks are sieged. AC Slayer, if he manages to catch these siege tanks unsieged, like right now, then he might be able to do a good amount of damage, and it looks like drewbie now moving forward, trying to do as much damage as he can. His Marines are 1-1 to the 0-0 upgrades of AC Slayer, but siege tanks are just too good, and drewbie didn't focus down those tanks at all, and now AC Slayer is completely free to do a bit of a medevac drop into the main, and drewbie is now way out of position to be able to defend against this drop here from AC Slayer. If we check out that workers killed count, looks like AC Slayer going to start to pick off SCVs. SCVs now being pulled off the line even by drewbie, and I'm actually surprised that AC Slayer didn't just straight up go for lots of SCV kills, just because he's in a pretty good position here. Looks like the scout factory is now in a forward position here for drewbie, so he can scout any force coming up the middle, but it looks like AC Slayer going to be taking advantage of this small middle high ground here and dropping off a small number of Marines up on the high ground. Notice more forces are continuing to come across the map here for AC Slayer. drewbie is doing a good job of scouting other locations to see if his opponent's going for any kind of expansions, and now it looks like drewbie might even be going for a little bit of a counterattack here, as he does know that these forces from AC Slayer are here. There goes the scan. He does know that those siege tanks are in position. Looks like he's just going to go and decide to cut off all reinforcements in the middle of the map, and that is a good position. Oh no, but there is a siege tank here for AC Slayer. drewbie doing a good job of splitting up all of his Marines there to try to negate some of the damage from all the forces of AC Slayer, but AC Slayer now up in the main with these Marines. Marines. This is a big number of Marines, but drewbie trying to move forward, trying to do some good damage, but these siege tanks on the low ground doing a fantastic job of cleaning up those Marines for acslayer, and acslayer is now 113 supply to the 90 supply of drewbie, and drewbie, I think, is in a spot of trouble. Siege tanks are just so good against Marines, and oh, the Vikings are now out, gonna start to deal damage to these medevacs. Very expensive units here for acslayer to have to replenish. Doesn't want to be losing those, but drewbie actually doing a drop from the main, able to pick off those siege tanks on the low ground, and it looks like this drop from acslayer going to be cleaned up. I apologize for missing that, and you know what? I'm actually going to go back because I'm actually very curious to know what exactly it was that drewbie did there. Looks like he did just stim up from the low ground after clearing up those reinforcements from acslayer. He did just come in right from the back, took a few siege tank hits, and there he's just going to be focusing him down with that stim, picking him up and loading him up onto that high ground. So nice little move there by drewbie. That is a good way of stopping that push, but so much damage was just dealt here. SCVs again being pulled off the line here by drewbie, losing mining time, losing SCVs. So far, 8 SCVs killed, and acslayer is going to get away with a good number of medevacs, and now he does have a third up and running. Drewbie does have another command center, but it is not in position to begin mining, and now we do see that the sensor tower now down for drewbie to stop any future drops from acslayer, but I think acslayer is okay with that, as if we check out the harvester count right now, we can see that acslayer is way up, 61 harvesters to 39 of drewbie, and I think drewbie is in a ton of trouble. Missile turrets now going down all over the place for acslayer once again because he's starting to get spread out. As he continues to spread out his bases, the more he's going to want to start to throw down static defenses because his army is going to be really, really good at controlling one area. And the more spread out you are in bases, the more you're going to need to throw up static defenses and put minerals into getting more and more static defenses to be able to defend against drops and things and to help against the fact that you are just not going to be quite as mobile as a fully bio army. Now drewbie, notice, is going for full out Marines, absolutely nothing else for drewbie, no Marauders, nothing else at all. It is just straight up Marines, lots of upgrades. As we can see, +1 or +2 is currently on the way, as well as ship weapons level 1, and that's going to really help with the Vikings and taking down those medevacs, but I don't know what he's going to be doing against those siege tanks, because those siege tanks are going to cut through these bioforces so well of drewbie that I think drewbie might actually be in a little bit of trouble here. Now it looks like the third is going down here for drewbie, so he does have a little bit of extra income here, but he's just so far behind in terms of just everything. His tech is behind, with the exception of upgrades. That's the only place where he does have an advantage right now. acslayer is currently sitting 0-0 on upgrades because that's because he went for all this extra tech, and now drewbie doing a fantastic job of microing these two Vikings, picking off a couple of medevacs there. And now he's going to be focusing down these destructible debris at the back of acSlayer's third. Going to be able to poke in here in time to see 2 command centers going down here for acSlayer. Siege tanks moving into position. I love this positioning here from acSlayer. With this positioning here, he's going to be able to defend this middle area, but he's also going to be able to defend this ramp here. Fantastic siege tank positioning here by acSlayer. Now drewbie is going to be taking a 4th here. As long as he has center map control and he's going to be putting pressure on his opponent, then he's going to be putting up that 4th. Absolutely love that move from drewbie, but I think he really needs to start teching to something other than just Marines and Vikings. I don't think that a Marine Viking army is going to be able to take out this kind of an army from acSlayer. As we can see, we do now have +3 attack upgrades now on the way here for drewbie. No doubt going to see infantry armor on the way here very soon, as it's his minerals that are really restricting him right now, because his gas is pretty much not being spent in too much other than upgrades at this point in time. And oh, it looks like drewbie going to be going for a big drop here. Will acSlayer have prepared well enough? There are quite a few missile turrets in the main. A 3rd going up here by the mineral line, and I think it's just barely going to be able to get up in time here for this to do some real damage. Vikings staying at the front of the army, trying to pick off medevacs here, but now drewbie moving around the back. But oh, these missile turrets are going to do such a good job at picking them off, and oh, so many Marines now being lost. 2 full medevacs of Marines go down, and there's even a group of Marines here in the back to be able to stop this drop dead in its tracks, and I think drewbie is going to lose quite a bit of stuff there. And in the meantime, acslayer moving out with the giant army straight down the middle. This drop doing some damage, but acslayer at this point in time isn't too worried about it. He can just use his reinforcements, and wow, actually these couple of marines are going to be able to do some damage, but acslayer more focused on this big battle that's happening right at the front of drewbie's base. Drewbie, despite being so far up in upgrades, are going to start dying so quickly to these siege tanks. Look at those marine numbers just becoming decimated by these siege tanks. acslayer, despite having only 1-1 upgrades right now, all he has to do is get those marines to commit to an engagement and then just pull right on back and let these siege tanks do the damage. And now acslayer in a fantastic position, flooding into the third base of drewbie as he even takes a center gold base, and it looks like that is going to be forcing a GG out of that. acslayer has taken 2 games off of drewbie. Fantastic play here by acslayer. Hope you guys enjoyed those casts. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. More this week. I'm going to be doing some more of the ASUS Republic of Gamers matches that I started to do. What did I do? I did Hero versus JYP. Going to be doing a few more matches from the ASUS ROG coming up here very soon. So subscribe. You want to be tuned in for that and check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. GLiTCH out.